Okay guys, wrapping up the Munich HighEnd 2025 show. Staying in Germany, so I got plenty more to come from AVM and Via Blue and another thing I'll be visiting to share with you. But I had a little bit of time, it's like 6 in the morning, to do a little video here from Motor World. Thought I'd give you a different backdrop for my wrap-up show. Gonna start in front of my favorite car here. Well, it's a bus. It's the Volkswagen bus that I kind of would buy myself. It's really pretty cool. But part of this is really just to share with you my favorites from the show. So on that note, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I gotta say is the best part of these shows is meeting many of you guys. Between you, members of the press, friends in the industry, that's what I love about these shows. And this was that show in spades. Almost everybody who is somebody was at this show. In fact, the MBL dinner, I've gone to that many times now. And this time, members of the press were out in force. Almost the entire Absolute Sound staff was there. Audiophile, many dealers. It was so much fun, a tradition. I'm definitely going to miss that being here, but I'm sure it's going to carry over to Vienna, and we'll see. But the other thing that I really enjoyed about this show, I'll tell you. So seeing new stuff, not just cool cars, but seeing new stuff in the audio realm is why I love going to this show. You can't get the best sound in any of these shows anymore, especially convention centers with tons of people attending, noise floor. It's not your favorite song. It's not the favorite volume. You're not going to these shows, I keep telling people, to hear the best of that gear. But you are going there to meet the people, get that intuition, talk about the technology, absorb like I used to do in the early 90s, just learn through osmosis what questions to ask, what really resonates with you, and get a taste of the sound. But there's so much value beyond just whatever you hear when you go in there for a few seconds or a few songs, if even that. So that was so cool, is that this show had in spades things I've never seen before, which is, quite frankly, takes a lot. I see it all nowadays, going to all these shows, but this show had it in spades. And maybe I'll pop up a few of the innovative things. And some of them are quite pricey, but that's what you go to these shows for, just like these cars. A lot of them are pricey, but it's cool to look at. So on that note, one of the craziest things I saw, and probably the most polarizing, is the $300,000 equipment rack. These for just using this to go to the store, but still cool, something I'd never seen before, but also at high price points that I thought actually in some respects relative to other things I've seen are quite a bargain is things like the Arisat new speaker. Yes, super pricey, but when you look at all the drivers involved, the technology, how he's doing modifications to the crossover and the slopes, being able to do it in the analog domain, that's not easy to do. The amount of cabinet material, the CNC machine he uses to fabricate the horns, the finish, paint job, unbelievable. It's like these kind of cars. And when you put all that effort into something, it does resonate at a higher price point with people, and there's a pride of ownership with it. So Arisat is definitely in one of my top rooms, but I got plenty more. IO Designs definitely stood out to me. I mean, they were a brand that I found a few years ago. Not many people saw it. They were like a small room. They were actually near Via Blue, and I was just a customer of Via Blue at the time. Saw this IO Designs by accident, went in there, and that speaker blew me away. And since then, I've had Zooms with the people. They haven't really had a lot of exposure in America yet, although one of my friends owns the pair. I think that was at the show, or one of the few pairs in America, and loves it. But now they went mega dollar, and that was a work of art, and it sounded phenomenal given that room. So that was another one on a sound quality metric alone, and where I could sniff the potential in a dedicated room. That one stood out. More to come. Okay, two other brands that stood out to me were the Matter Open Baffle. Now at $35,000, again, we're talking about price points that are a little hard to justify on a normal logic and rational basis, but in terms of sound quality of construction, something I want to pay attention to and maybe watch in the future. That's a brand definitely I'm going to do. The other one that really stood out to me was totally new. It was the brand Airplane, but it was in a train car. It was the most unique demo room I've ever seen before, inside of an abandoned train railroad track car, and very innovative. It's got a stainless steel chassis, purified drivers, and they make their own AMT type tweeter. Very much something influenced by Oscar Heil. I'm going to learn a lot more about that speaker because it's DSP active. Very impressive performance in that small little train car, and stood out to me. So that's another one. Let me think of some more for you. Hey, another one that really stood out was Alivox, and Omega. I remember seeing them in the 2000 teens in Rocky Mountain Audio Fest, and I think that was their first show, and I could not believe how good they sounded. Open baffle, planar, and Omega, that CD player bowl, it hung like bungee cords. That's the kind of stuff I love to see, even if it's not something practical for most people. Again, it's like looking at these cars, guys. And that room, the new Michelangelo by Alivox, I've covered, and I've got more music clips from California with the Raffaello. That's one of my favorite open baffle planers for sure. But another one that's really impressive in that same ilk is the Clarisis. Now, they had the mega dollar one that's impressive to look at, like these cars, but not practical for most people. There are other models in the range I think are much more in that sweet spot of, if you like planers, you like open baffles, you like line sources, they're another one to check out, and I've been impressed with them in the past. Let me think of some more for you. The other ones that really stood out to me, just on a sound quality alone basis, were the ones that were Panzerhold cabinet material, the Kaiser and the Aura acoustics. Aura is the one, if you watch my video, you should watch it. They made a room within a room at Expona. I think they weren't allowed to do what they did, but they did it, and I thought it was badass and cool. So they were great with room treatments, and they realized when you go to this show, what the room sounds like is how your gear is going to sound like. The potential can only be unlocked with great room. So Aura is doing Panzerholz cabinets, Kaiser, both of those rooms. Ypsilon Electronics in that Kaiser room really stood out to me. And I'm even going to give a little bit of kudos to the vinyl guys. I'm not a vinyl guy, I don't even have a turntable, but this show was great for vinyl guys. You got to hear the Wilson Benesch turntable. That room was definitely a favorite, and that turntable is among the best in the world. But that tone arm, you could also see it on another favorite turntable of mine, the Doman turntable. And to that end, there were some great recordings on vinyl, which is what I've always said is one of the things I will give credit to vinyl. Some of the recording quality is better. And to that end, the Burmester room had a lacquer they played at the end. So if you watched my entire Burmester video, they were all good sounding, but there was definitely a jump in improvement when they played the vinyl, and it was a lacquer, and it was controlled by them. I think they did the recordings. And so there was so many other good rooms with great vinyl. The Juan turntable, that was also with that open baffle. I think Matter open baffle, I think that was a good combination, and both helped each other. So vinyl was so good at this show, and I don't mind saying it. It was ruling this time. I'm going to have a much more formal wrap up like I normally do when I get back in town, but like I said, that's going to take a while. I got to go visit Via Blue, AVM, and some other things while I'm in Germany. But also I have some videos that I'm going to release that I haven't released yet. Give them their own day because I think it's worthwhile. Number one being the Arisat system, because that new speaker and Arisat gear is among the best of the best, and sounded great. It's probably one of my favorite rooms, if not my favorite. So I want to showcase some of that in the interview I did with Stavros before ours. I also have a video with PMC, and this is a great video where we walk through not just their transmission line design and Fenestra, which I've been impressed with, but some other things as well. And to that end, you know, one of the things I mentioned in my day one wrap up is that there was a case where show a dedicated demo had the speakers, at least in my opinion, strong opinion, were wired out of phase. Now I never did get back to go check that out, but there was another room that had that happen, and I do have it all on camera where I checked the back, saw it, told the room, got it all on camera, and you get to see how a room with great people behind it, a great brand, they actually appreciative of the feedback, and that, you know, it happens to everybody. And I was talking to people throughout the show, everybody's had it happen to them, so it's not so much what you don't want to castigate the brands, but you want to see how they react to feedback like that. And I'm going to share that video with you because I think these kind of brands deserve credit, that appreciate feedback and admit, hey, made a mistake. Happens at these shows. So many things that you don't know about behind the scenes. Things like the YG, that's another one of my favorites I got to mention. Although I never got in the sweet spot to hear the Gemini, I know it's going to be phenomenal. Probably wouldn't even be close to its full potential in that room. But I think that Gemini is definitely going to be a new potential for world's best speaker. But to that end, they couldn't even play it in all the rooms that they had because half of one of the Geminis, Duncan was telling me, was not even delivered. So the things that these brands have to go through for just 4 days in this case is so difficult. So you got to give these brands the benefit of the doubt. So every brand that you see me covered, I didn't have any bad experiences with anybody. I didn't have any disappointing sound to the point where I knew it was the gear itself. Yeah, obviously an out of phase situation, that's an accident. But yes, it was very impressive. The people were impressive. Meeting you guys were impressive. So hope you enjoyed my coverage. I got plenty more to come though, even stuff back to Expona, Tampa, all that. So let me get back to Houston as soon as I can and get started.